everyone, welcome back to another video and welcome back to another part of the Pet saga. Now my Pet is fully up and running, it's all working, everything's tickety-boo. For those who know, the Pet was called the 4032 or 3032, they went by numbers in the UK and across Europe for various reasons. I think someone had the Pet copyrighted name, so Commodore couldn't use Pet. Anywho, so we're looking at my 4032, which is fully working, it's all good, everything's spot on. So I thought we'd just have a little talk about some of the things that have gone wrong on my machine, some of the chips that failed, not necessarily why they failed, but what some of the effects were. Now first off is going to be the horrible 4116 RAM, which you can see here. Now the 4166 RAM from MOS runs on 3 voltages, 12 volt, -5 and +5. Any one of these failing will cause the chip to fail. Now what often happens, I'm told, is that there will be a problem with a voltage regulator on the motherboard, and this will send a particularly high spike of voltage to the RAM and it kills it stone dead. If you're lucky, it'll just kill 1 or 2 chips. If you're very, very unlucky, it will kill all of your 32K in your Pet, and that's precisely what happened to mine. I'm a lucky fellow, I know this. So while my Pet RAM is dead, I had to socket the whole board, RAM-wise, and change all the RAM. Fortunately, I had some from my Apple II days, and I did buy some on eBay as well. So that's all good. So all the RAM was socketed. Turn the Pet on, what did it do? Nothing, still the same as it was before. But that's okay. So next up, what else did die? Well, the 6502, possibly, if not the greatest CPU ever made, then certainly the most popular CPU ever made. So the 6502 was in most Commodore machines in a variation, most Atari machines, most Apple machines, and so on and so forth, and quite a lot of motor cars. So the 6502, what happens when that dies? Well, you get a blank screen, which is not very helpful in troubleshooting, but there you go. Now my 6502 had died, and the reason I found that was I had a CPU replacement, and that was a 6502 RAM board from Tynesoft Software, which had RAM on it and all the ROMs, so I could see the machine kind of working. The next failure I had, or another failure, was a 6520, which is a PIA, peripheral interface adapter, also from Moss or Rockwell in this particular instance. That failed as well. Now what did that do? Depending on which socket it was in, I can't actually remember now because I swapped everything about. There are 2 of these. It will either stop the cursor flashing or working, so you can't type anything, or it will, I think it also stops or controls the chirp. So if it doesn't chirp but functions otherwise, it could be this. It controls the keyboard and various other functions as well, depending in which sockets it's in. Now the next problem I had was the Pet didn't do anything. I had a screen full of nonsense that never really changed. Now some guys on the vintage forum explained to me that the edit ROM might be at fault if it's not displaying properly, and they were absolutely correct. The edit ROM was dead. The edit ROM is kind of a mini BIOS for the Pet. It controls the screen resolution, whether it's 40 column or 80 column, what keyboard it uses, tells it to make the chirp sound, and tells it to initiate BASIC. It's sort of step 1 on the boot process. Next up we have 46522, which is the kernel. If the kernel dies, this interfaces pretty much most things on the Pet. Tells it, the CPU will tell the kernel what to do, and so on and so forth, and it goes around the board telling the computer to do various functions. If the kernel fails, your Pet will be as dead as a doornail, and my Pet was as dead as a doornail. So the 46522 on my machine, it was either blank or almost blank. My ROM reader showed it was full of F's, which is not very helpful. 46521 is part of the 3-chip Pet BASIC, if you have BASIC 4, and this again was corrupt and starting to be encroached by Fs, which are blank sectors on the ROM. So the ROM itself wouldn't function as it should do, which would obviously cause the Pet to fail. So every chip that I had so far had an error, which is why it took me quite so long to work out what was wrong with this computer. Basically, almost everything that functioned was faulty in some way. What's next? We have the 46523, which is also part of the Pet Basic. Again, I think this one was all blank. This was all Fs in my ROM reader. I have a cheap ROM reader. I had to make an adapter. But it was all Fs, so there's no way on God's green earth it was ever going to function. But I didn't know this at the time until I unsoldered all the ROMs and tested them in a reader. And even then I wasn't actually 100% sure they were faulty, because some of them were almost functional but slightly corrupt. That one was actually fully corrupt. It was full of Fs. That was all blank. So there we go. So after changing all the RAM, the ROMs, the CPU, one or even two of the 6520s, it did eventually function. And after a great deal of effort, this is what I now have: a fully functioning 80 column Pet. I was going to say 4032, an 80. An 8032 in this particular instance, as it's only using 32K. The extra RAM is on a RAM board, which I haven't tried yet, so that could be quite interesting. So there we go. So this is my Pet that is now fully working. I'm going to change it into an SK case at some point when I get time, hopefully this weekend. Get it all set up and working, and try to get it connected to a BBS, which was the reason I bought the thing in the first place, probably 3 or 4 years ago. The Pet it's not a games machine as such. It was a business machine, designed as such, produced as such. So don't expect any fantastic games on there. Well, there are some rather good text adventures, but they can be played on most other machines. The beauty of the Pet is it has a crystal clear display and is very pleasant to look at. You don't really get tired of looking at a green screen, in my opinion. A green screen is what computers should be. So, after playing all the silly games, after using various bits of software, how do you get software onto the Pet? Well, I bought a Pet SD card reader from the Future Was 8-bit for about £60 or thereabouts, and now I can load D64 images onto the Pet. I can use DOS Wedge and quickly flick through software. A file browser would be particularly helpful for the Pet. I haven't managed to find one, if there is one. I'm not sure if I'm bright enough to write one, but I might have a go. So if anyone's got a file browser for the Commodore Pet, I would love to have a go with it and try it. That should be very interesting. So yeah, like I said, this machine will be on display very possibly, if I can speak, at the up and coming Toaster Show. Now the Toaster Show, I'm hoping, will be sometime in probably late September. And the reason for that is I have my birthday coming up in August. I'm going away in August as well, so there's a lot going on in August. September is the next month where things calm down a little, so perhaps I have a bit of free time. So yes, so I'm going to be doing an announcement very shortly when I speak to the North Ants Council about renting a building, probably on a Saturday. So it will be probably a Friday evening setup, Saturday show, but all the equipment will have to be out for Saturday evening, as the hall will be booked on Sunday. Now I'm hoping there will be lots of people there. I'm going to try and get some guests if I can, but who knows? And who knows what COVID's going to bring? It might be a complete waste of time as everything's shut down. I really don't know. But it would be great to get everybody together, meet some friends, meet some new people, have a chat and find out what's going on in the world. So if you could make it to the Milton Keynes area sometimes in September, I will be renting a hall, and everyone's welcome. So hopefully I'll have some information about this very soon. So that's about it really. This is just a little update of what was physically wrong on my Pet. I know I spoke about it in a previous video. I do want to swap each chip over step by step, try it in the Pet and see what was wrong, see what effect it has on screen. So if you've got a similar fault or a similar screen, you can say, haha, it's obviously RAM or ROM or whatever. I'm not sure if that will help particularly, but it might. I don't know. Now, I haven't done a stream for quite a while as I've been working too hard, which is starting to really naff me off, to be perfectly honest. But I will be doing a stream soon. I have an Amiga 1200 to fix. I have an accelerator to fix. I have my Pi Storm to go back to, which I haven't run for quite a while. I have Michael's Mega Chip, which I have fitted but I haven't tested yet because my Agnes is dead. My, what is it, 8375. So I need to nick one from another machine, which I'll do at some point, get that up and running so we can see that working. And then there's lots of other things to talk about and chat about as we go along. So I'm going to stop rambling now and let you find people watch a far more interesting video. So this is my Pet. It's all up and running. It's been a real pain, if I'm brutally honest, a real pain. I do have another Pet which is in similar condition. It's slightly more corroded. So if I start removing chips, the legs are going to break. So that will be a pig of a thing to get going. But I'm determined to get it going, as I was determined to get this going. And I do have the new Pet as well, which I have assembled. Doesn't work properly, but I have to come back to this, so I'll be doing that at some point. I think we should have a little look inside my Pet so I can show you where some of the things are. Let me sort that out. So, if we lift the lid like a car bonnet or a hood, if you're American, you can see here the transformer on the top left, which is just waiting to kill you. As we move to the motherboard itself, we have, just pan out a little bit, we have the RAM on the left hand side of the board. That is a full 32K of 4116. We have various logic in the middle of the board and video RAM. Then we have the CPU, the CRT chip in the middle above the keyboard connector, 6520. And on the right hand side in the middle we have all the ROMs, which is the kernel, the edit ROM, 3 basic ROMs, and the little gold one there is a BIS chip. I can't find any information about the BIS chip, but it's an option ROM. Don't need it in there, but it provides some sort of function. Don't know what, but I'll find out. So that's it. I will do an updated video very shortly about the Toasty show when I get confirmation from Northants Council, and hopefully I will see you there and then. It should only be, it's only a couple of months away, less than a couple of months. So if you can attend, please do. We have some surprises, and we have competitions, fun, drinking, silliness, and the usual things that goes with retro shows. I think we'll try to get a few retailers there as well. I know Peter wants to come with ZX Renew, so that should all be good. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to say thank you very much for your time if you're still here, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye from me.